And that's because, you know, they burn calories just like us, and then all of a sudden, once they kind of run out of calories, we would just get tired and exhausted. But they just kind of kick into the next gear, and they just start burning fat. They can just essentially take their fat and just start burning it straight into energy. So once you kind of hit 2 miles into a race, you really got to start pumping the dogs full of fat, because they're burning it just as fast as you're giving it to them. And that's kind of what allows them to kind of go the next step. A few years ago, these guys were scientifically proven to be the best endurance athletes in the world, these Alaskan Huskies. No other animal on Earth can, you know, cover the amount of ground that they can cover as efficiently. Good. And then once racing started and started getting popular in the 70s, then the dogs started getting a little bit smaller and faster. Because small is fast and big is strong. So people wanted faster dogs, so they started breeding a little bit smaller dogs and smaller dogs. So these racing dogs aren't very big. They're not those big fluffy dogs most people expect to see. And that's because they're designed for speed. And then, you know, some people will crossbreed their Alaskan Huskies with, you know, your German short-haired pointers or Irish setters and things like that, just to try to get more speed and try to get that. You know, those breeds have really big lungs. They have really high oxygen capacity and stuff like that, and they try to breed that into their dogs. I've heard of people breeding into, easy guys, Belgian Shepherds and stuff, because they have really tough feet. They want those tough feet in their Huskies, so they try to get that by breeding into a Belgian Shepherd. People experiment a lot. Good God, you guys. Stop here for a little bit, let these guys roll around in the snow. It's a little warm today.
Pit stop.
Believe it or not, for these guys. But you're welcome to get out and get some pictures down, take a little bit.
Oh, okay.
I'm happy to take some pictures for you if you want to get a team picture with the team.
Oh, really appreciate it. Oh, let me grab. It's not really cold.
Yeah, it's not too bad right now.
Yesterday night was really bad. Have you seen Aurora?
Oh, pale. So.
Would you mind?
Yeah. Really, you want to go up with Roan there?
Oh, okay.
Get their faces instead of their butts. All right. 3, 2, 1.
Oh.
I'll do one like this too. Try to get some scenery. Right, 3, 2, 1. Awesome.
Thank you.
You betcha. Yeah, it doesn't take very long before we're like, what are we doing? Let's get going again.
Ron is tired.
Yeah. Oh, Ron.
Ron.
You'll see them rolling around in the snow and eating the snow. Those are all things that kind of help them cool off. Like I said, today's actually a pretty warm day for them. They like the temperatures to be like freezing cold. The colder the better for these guys.
I see.
But they've got 2 coats. They've got, you know, it doesn't look like they have very much hair.
Yeah.
But what we see is just kind of like their water wicking layer. It's like the outside of our jacket.
Okay.
It's more like your jacket there. But underneath that, they've got this really, really thick layer of undercoat, and so you can't even really see their skin. And that's their insulation layer. So that's what keeps them warm. Is that undercoat. Hi, Rowan. Yeah. So you can imagine, like, if we were to go for a run, you know, start running around right now, we'd start sweating a lot. But these guys can't sweat. Dogs don't sweat. They release heat through their tongues, which is why dogs pant. And these Alaskan Huskies actually through their feet as well. So we don't have to worry. They don't get cold feet. We don't have to worry about that. Having their feet in the snow is actually what keeps them from getting too hot.
Okay.
So, not Rowan. Oh, Porter. Rowan, buddy.
This is sweet.
Good job, you guys.
Just a picture of you too.
Good work.
You too. Hey guys. And you too. I have now have to pet all of you. And you. And you guys. And you. And you. Pet you.
What is that? What do you think, buddy? What do you think, Porter?
Oh,
Hey.
come on.
Back here is where we come to get our firewood. And you can see back here, because we're down by the Chena River, that was the
Okay.
river that we crossed right before here. So by the river, there's not as much permafrost, and there's a lot more water for the trees. So you get these white spruce that are really big. But if you notice over by like where we live, all we have are those tiny little pathetic, black spruce, and those don't get you much firewood. So we come down here by the river, and we get wood to heat our yurts. So.
Would you mind?
Yeah,
Everyone?
All right, 3, 2, 1. Good boy, Porter.
Thank you.
He looks good. He's got
nice.
frosty whiskers.
Yeah.
Barley. Boomer, you're not as excited right now. Like, I know the drill. Good boy. All right, yeah, well, feel free to get some more pictures if you'd like.
Okay. This is.
I'm just gonna stand on the brake, take off gas.
It's getting dark. No? Is it getting dark?
Is it dark?
Like, is it getting dark already? Or not so much?
Oh yeah, I didn't understand that again. Say it one more time.
When is it starting to get dark?
Oh, when does it start to get dark? Usually around 3 it seems like it starts to get dark. So, it's starting to now, but we're
Yeah.
gaining daylight now, thank God.
Yeah.
So, this morning, we wake up at like 9, and it's when it's like really dark, you like wake up and it's like super dark, and you're just like, oh, it's so hard to get out of bed. But now this morning, I'm like, it's finally like starting to be a little bit light outside at 9, so it makes it a lot easier to wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
When it's dark all day, you're pretty much just like sleepy all day. But Alaskans drink a lot of coffee. Yeah, we need it over here. So. All right.
Yeah. I was actually surprised. Because originally. Ow.
Ready?
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to have these little bit warmer temperatures.
Yeah.
It was really, really cold. We had like 3 weeks where it was like 12 20 to 40 below zero every day.
Oh shoot.
Yeah, we're just like, when it's 40 below, it's just like, you don't want to be outside. Yeah, we still got a lot of chores and stuff to do outside. Go as fast as you can. Where are you from?
California.
California?
Yeah, originally from Russia.
From Russia. I mean, not too much snow in California right now, huh?
Not at all.
Easy, guys.
Hello.
Looks like she was out collecting firewood too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the Chena River we're on right now. That river goes right through the middle of downtown Fairbanks.
Okay.
So once the river freezes up all the way, we can head out on the river here and run the dogs all the way to town, which is kind of cool. Still not completely frozen yet this winter.
How long is the winter here?
Usually it's about 5 months of the year. It's considered winter here. Kind of November through kind of April, I guess. April's when it starts to finally warm up a little bit here. But it's a long winter.
And what is the coldest season?
The coldest season. Well, the last 2 seasons here have been really warm. I think the coldest it got last year was like 25 below zero, which isn't bad at all. But this year, it seemed like it was going to be the coldest because we had so many days of 30, 40 below zero. But now it's warmed up again, so we'll see if this sticks around. I have a feeling it's going to start getting colder here. Today's quite a bit colder than yesterday was already.
Yeah.
We're starting to get our winter back here, our cold temperatures. But Fairbanks is known for being really, really cold. You know, 40, 50, sometimes it's even like 60 below zero.
Oh shoot.
So, luckily we haven't had 60 below here in Fairbanks for a few years now. Things are heating up.
How does it feel? 60.
Cold. Yeah, there's no staying warm at that kind of temperature. You can put on everything you have and you're still going to be kind of cold. But you know, the temperature it's not too bad here in Fairbanks for the most part because it's such a dry climate. You know, I grew up, you know, in Minnesota, and you know, I'll take 20, 30 below zero in Fairbanks over, you know, 0 degrees in Minnesota, because Minnesota is such a humid, wet environment that cold really bites through your, you know, bites through your zippers and stuff on your coats, and it really stings your face. Here, you know, 0 degrees is like really warm. So
Yeah.
It's nice. It's not as bad as people say it is sometimes. So. But when we're out training, you know, these guys are doing 30 to 40 miles of training runs every day, even with tours. So, you know, after this, we're going to hook up the A-team, and Matt's going to go out and do a 40-mile run with them for training. So you're out on the trail, we're on the trail, you know, 5 to 7 hours every day. So,
Every day?
Every day, yeah. So, I mean, they'll get a day off here and there. Every 4 days or so, they get, you know, a day of rest to kind of recover and rebuild that muscle. But yeah, they run a lot, so by the time they start racing, they'll have about 3,000 miles on them, and we're just short of that right now, so we almost have our 3,000 miles. We've got 10 days to get the rest of that on. By the end of the season, they'll have about 5,000 miles on them. by the end of winter. So these guys run a lot, and we stand back here on the sled a lot. So these guys, their first race is in 10 days. They'll be doing the Copper Basin 300, which is kind of the most, it's like the Super Bowl of the mid-distance racing here in Alaska, I guess you could say. And these guys won it last year with Matt, these dogs. So we got a title to defend. So we're all really nervous about it, but the dogs look really strong. So we got high hopes. There's a lot of good competition in that race this year. We'll see how that goes. Then about 2 weeks after that, these guys will run the Yukon Quest, which is one of the big 1,000-mile sled dog races. And that one goes from Fairbanks down to Whitehorse in the Yukon of Canada. In about a month, these guys will go and do a 1,000-mile race. So that only takes about 9 days to run 1,000 miles by dog team. And they don't run 1,000 miles straight. You know, these guys do rest on the trail, obviously. Every musher runs with what we call our run-rest schedule. So how long we run versus how long we rest. So the average schedule would be I'd go out and I'd run for 5 or 6 hours, which is about 50 miles, 50 or 60 miles, and then I'm going to stop and rest for 5 or 6 hours. So even run, you know, if I run for 5 hours, I rest for 5 hours, and that you won't win a race with that schedule, but you can still do pretty well. So these guys don't need a whole lot of rest. From there, you know, the more elite teams will run more and rest less, and the puppy teams will rest more and run less. It's just kind of you create your schedule for your team, lay it out. Good job, guys. And when we rest, you know, we race from checkpoint to checkpoint. But every 40 to 150 miles, there's going to be a checkpoint. Volunteers and everything. So you pull into the checkpoint, you sign in your name and your time and everything. They check your gear to make sure you have all your mandatory gear, which is like an axe, a sleeping bag, dog food, people food, booties. These guys wear little socks on their feet when they're running. Call them dog booties.
Yeah, they do.
And that's not to keep their feet warm. Remember, I was saying like their feet. We don't have to worry about their feet getting cold. It's just to protect their feet because the snow can be pretty abrasive.
Yeah.
Especially if you get a cold night, it gets icy on top, and that can really cut up the pads of their feet.
Yeah.
Or dry it out, and they get splits and stuff. So those booties help prevent that. So pull in the checkpoint, they check for all your gear, and then you pull into your parking spot, or you might just keep going down the trail. Sometimes it's nice to camp out in the woods on the trail where there's no other dog teams, there's less distractions. That way your dogs get a little bit better rest. Then we go, stop the team, we go through and we lay down a bed of straw for all the dogs, just like what they have in their houses. And they have a nice warm bed to sleep on. And I start melting snow right away. That's how we get water for these guys on the trail. It's all just melted snow. So I melt snow in usually about 20 minutes. I can get 3 gallons of water out of that. And while that's melting, I go through and I'm massaging all the dogs' feet. I'm massaging all the dogs' shoulders, kind of making sure everybody's nice and loose. Attending to any injuries, just like, you know, any human athlete.
Yeah.
These guys, if they step funny on the trail or step in a moose hole, like if a moose walks across the trail, they punch through and it puts a big hole in the trail. And if they step in one of those, they get a sore wrist or a sore shoulder. So you might be massaging that shoulder out, putting a heat pack on it to keep it nice and loose, putting a wrist wrap on a wrist or something to keep the swelling down and kind of help that heal up. And if you're running a race, you know, right now we have 7 dogs pulling the 2 of us in this big sled. In a race like the Yukon Quest, we'll have 14 dogs. So in just one musher. So we got a lot of dogs, and Iditarod, another 1,000-mile race, kind of the big one. That's like the Super Bowl of the 1,000-mile races. That one you have 16 dogs. So that's a lot of feet and a lot of shoulders you got to take care of. So that takes plenty of time. And then once their water's done, you throw in some meat in there, let the meat thaw out, add some dog kibble, whatever supplements you're giving them. These guys get a lot of probiotics.